Hello, this is Deseret Devotional, and this is Come Follow Me, Rest Edition, where we take this week's scripture study and end it the gentlest way I know how, by falling asleep inside it. This week's reading is the book of Job, and I'll be honest with you. When I planned this season, this was the week I wondered about. Because Job is the book people are almost afraid to open. The book about the good man who lost so much. The book that asks the question nobody can answer. But I've read it again this week, slowly. The way we do things here. And I want to tell you what I found. I think Job might be the most comforting book we visit all year, because it's the book where God answers a suffering man. Not with an explanation, but with a night sky. The climax of Job is the most beautiful nature poetry in all of Scripture. Morning stars singing, the sea wrapped up like a newborn, snow kept in treasuries. When heaven wanted to comfort its most brokenhearted friend, heaven took him stargazing. So that's where we're going tonight. And one more thing before we begin. If you're carrying a real loss right now, if this book lands close to your own life, I want you to know this episode was made with you particularly in mind. We will walk gently. Nothing will be dwelt on. And you're allowed to just let the sky parts wash over you. They were written for exactly this hour of the night. So let yourself arrive. Feel the weight of your blankets resting on you. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Let your jaw soften. Unclench your hands. You don't need any answers tonight. That, it turns out, is the whole lesson. Just listen. Tonight, I want to bring you somewhere we've never been on this show. Somewhere soft and grand and very far from the stone hills of Jerusalem. Come into the palace garden of Shushan at night. You're lying on a hillside. Really lying down this time. On your back, in deep, dry summer grass that has kept the day's warmth the way grass does. Springy and sweet-smelling underneath you. Holding you like a made bed. The night wind is moving over the hill. Not at you. Over you. A long, soft, steady breath combing through the grass from one horizon to the other. You can hear it arrive from far away, pass over you, and go on, like slow waves on a shore of grass. Far down the hill, if you lifted your head, but don't, you'd see the low shapes of a great homestead at rest, stone sheepfolds, full for the night. You can just barely hear the flock, a soft, woolly murmuring. Hundreds of animals breathing together. One sleepy bell, and then settling. The air smells of warm grass and dust and distance. That enormous clean smell of open country at night. The smell of a world with plenty of room in it. But the real event tonight is up. Because you are lying under the deepest sky of this whole season. No city glow, no lamps, no fire even. Nothing between you and it. Stars in their tens of thousands, layered behind each other, going back and back and back. The great slow wheel of them turning so gradually you'd have to lie here an hour to catch them at it. The Milky Way is not a faint band tonight. It's a river in flood, pouring straight over the top of the sky from edge to edge. And there, look. You can find the old friends the book of Job will name before the night is over. The Pleiades. That small, sweet cluster like a handful of seed pearls. And Orion, striding up over the eastern hills with his bright belt. The very ones. This book is so old that when it points at the sky, it points at the same stars you're under right now. Nothing in Scripture is older than Job. And nothing in your window is older than those. Let the wind pass over you once more. Let the grass hold you. And keep your eyes on all that slow silver overhead. Because tonight's story belongs to a man who lay under this exact sky on the worst nights of his life. And what happened when the sky finally spoke back? There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That's how the book begins. Like a story told by firelight for 1,000 years before anyone wrote it down. And the record says that man was perfect and upright. One that feared God and turned away from evil. And his life was as large as this countryside. 7 sons and 3 daughters. Thousands of sheep whitening the hills. Camels, oxen, a very great household. The record calls him the greatest of all the men of the East. But listen to what his greatness was actually made of. Because Job himself tells us, later in the book, what filled his days. When the ear heard me, he says, it blessed me. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor. That was the man. wealth on the hills, and widows singing for joy in his gates. Every morning, the record says, he rose early to pray for his children, just in case, covering them the way a father pulls a blanket up over sleeping shoulders. Hold that picture of him. The well-worn path between his door and his God, because that path is about to be tested. And it is going to hold. Now I have to tell you the hard part. And I'm going to do it the way you'd tell it to someone you love, sitting on the edge of their bed. Briefly, honestly, and then we'll breathe. Trouble came to Job's life the way it sometimes comes to good people, which is to say, from every direction at once, and for no reason anyone on earth could see. In a single terrible day, messenger after messenger arrived, each interrupting the last. And by nightfall, Job had lost his herds, his servants, and, hardest of all to say aloud, his children, all of them. And in the days that followed, his health failed him too, until the greatest man of the East sat outside in the ashes, scraping his sores, with nothing left but his breath and his God. The book does not explain it. I want you to notice that because it matters all night long. The book never once tells Job why. And it never tells us why our own worst days come either. Job is not the book of answers. It is the book of what faith sounds like when there aren't any. And here is what it sounded like. That first unbearable night, Job stood up and worshipped and said words that people have reached for at gravesides ever since, because nothing truer has ever been said in grief. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He did not pretend it didn't hurt. The whole rest of the book is him saying, at length, exactly how much it hurt. But underneath the hurt, bedrock, the Lord gave, the Lord has taken, and the name is still blessed. In all this, the record says, Job sinned not. Breathe with me here. In and out. The worst of the telling is behind us now. The rest of tonight is the long, slow turn toward morning. Word travels even in the wide country. And 3 old friends came from their far homes to comfort him. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Now the story needs its shadow, and I'll keep it brief and hold it loosely. The way you hold a moth before letting it out the window. There was a man at court named Haman. newly raised above all the princes, and hungry, the way pride is always hungry, to have every knee bend as he passed. And every knee did, except Mordecai's, there at the gate, who would bow to no man in a way that belonged to God. 7 days of company, without commentary. No explanations, no advice, no silver linings, just 3 friends, sitting in the ashes with the 4th, sharing the silence like bread. That was their finest hour. I wish I could tell you they kept it up, because eventually they began to talk. And everything they said was some version of the same wrong idea, that suffering must be deserved. That if Job would just find his hidden fault and confess it, the ledger would balance and the pain would stop. They meant well, some of them, some of the time, but they were defending a tidy little arithmetic of a universe and calling it God. And Job, oh, I love him for this, refused the arithmetic. He would not pretend to a guilt he didn't have, just to make the story comfortable for the people watching. And he would not let go of God either. He did the harder thing than either. He stayed, and he was honest, straight upward. He asked God why. He said the days were long and the nights were longer. He said things so raw that his friends were scandalized. And here is one of the quiet thunderclaps at the end of the book, which I'll give you early. When God finally speaks, he is not angry at Job for the raw honesty. He is displeased with the friends for their tidy explanations. Ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, he tells them, as my servant Job hath. Heaven, it turns out, prefers honest wrestling to polished theology. You can bring God your true, unedited heart at 2 a.m. That's not the failure of your faith. According to this book, that is your faith. And scattered through Job's long, honest lament, like gold showing in a dark stream bed, come the verses this book is loved for. Listen to what a man says at the very bottom. When everything decorative has been stripped away and only the load-bearing beliefs remain, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. That's the first one. Trust, with no conditions left attached to it. Trust that has stopped negotiating. And this one, quieter and maybe braver. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. He knows my road, even when I can't see his. And this fire I'm in is a refiner's fire. It is not destroying me. It is finishing me. And then, from the ash heap, from the lowest chapter of his lowest year, lifts his head and says the words that choirs have been singing ever since. Words about a Redeemer he had never met and somehow already knew. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Not I understand why this happened. He never got that. Not I feel fine. He didn't. I know that he lives. And I know that one day these eyes will see him. Sometimes faith is not a ladder out of the pit. Sometimes it is bedrock at the bottom of it. Something solid, finally underfoot in the dark. Enough to stand on until morning. And then, at last, after all the long human speeches had worn themselves out, God answered. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. And what came out of that whirlwind is, I truly believe, the most beautiful stretch of poetry in the whole Bible. And the strangest, gentlest answer ever given to a grieving man. Because God does not explain. Not one word about why. Instead, he takes Job on a tour of everything, as if to say, come with me and let me show you what my hands are holding, and then decide whether they can hold you. Where wast thou, he begins, when I laid the foundations of the earth? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Stay there a moment. According to this verse, when the world was made, there was singing. The stars you're lying under right now sang. And somewhere in that shouting chorus of the sons of God, the oldest whisper of our faith says, you were there. You've seen this all turn out gloriously before. And the tour goes on. Wonder after wonder, each one tenderer than you'd expect from a whirlwind. He speaks of the newborn sea, the ocean itself, pictured as an infant. When I made the cloud the garment thereof, he says, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it. He wrapped the sea in clouds, the way you swaddle a baby. And he set its cradle rails too. Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further. And here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Even the wildest thing in creation, tucked in, with a boundary and a blanket. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, he asks, and caused the dayspring to know his place? Every dawn you have ever slept through was commanded. Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow? Somewhere this verse says, the snow is kept in treasuries, like something precious being saved. And then a verse for every soul who has ever felt unseen. He tells of the rain he sends to satisfy the desolate and waste ground. Rain on the wilderness, the record says, wherein there is no man. God waters places no human eye will ever check on. Nothing is too far, too small, or too hidden for his tending. The wild goats on the crags have their birthdays attended. The young raven's hunger is heard. The eagle's high nest is known. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? There they are, your two friends from the top of tonight's sky, called by name out of the whirlwind. Sweet influences. As if even the stars are held together with sweetness. And Job? What did Job say when the tour was done? He said the thing the whole book was waiting for. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear. But now, mine eyes see thee. Before, I knew about you. Now I have seen you. He never got his explanation. He got something the explanation could never have been. Presence. That was the answer. That is very often still the answer, not the why, but the who. Arriving and staying. And the story does not leave Job in the ashes. The turning point is a small verse people often miss, and I don't want you to. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. The friends who had lectured him for 30 chapters. Job prayed for them. And in the praying his own morning began. And the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. The hills whitened with flocks again, twice over. And children came again to that house. 7 sons and 3 daughters. And the book pauses tenderly over the daughters and does something Scripture almost never does. It tells us their names. Jemima, which means dove. Kezia, a sweet spice, Karen Hapich. And in all the land, the record says, were no women found so fair. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. Now let me say one thing about that ending. Carefully. Because glib is the one thing this episode will not be. New children do not replace the ones who were lost. Scripture knows that. Job surely carried his first 10 in his heart every remaining day of his life, the way you carry yours. The restoration is not the erasing of the grief. It is what we learned back at the temple foundation with Ezra. Do you remember? The weeping and the shouting, rising together in one sound. Joy and sorrow side by side in the same heart. Both real, and heaven receiving them as one music. So Job lived long in that mingled music. 140 years. He saw his sons and his sons' sons. 4 generations. And the book closes over him like this grass, with one of the gentlest endings in Scripture. The first stone is the line of ink. Mordecai's kindness written down and forgotten, until the one night it was needed most. Friend, nothing good you have done is lost. Not the unthanked kindness. Not the quiet faithfulness at your own gate. Not the prayer that seems to have gone nowhere. It is written. Heaven keeps chronicles too. And heaven reads them at exactly the right hour. So tonight you can stop keeping score on yourself. The record is kept by a gentler bookkeeper than you. So that's the story this week's reading gave us. And now it's just you and me again. The wind and the grass, the stars, and the night. 3 small stones, like always, smooth ones, one at a time, and then I'll let you sleep. The first stone is the friends' 7 days. Their finest hour was silence, presence without explanation. And everything went wrong when they traded sitting with for explaining to. Take that both directions tonight. For the people you love who are hurting, you don't owe them answers. You owe them your nearness, and this book says nearness is the better gift. And for yourself, notice that God's own answer to Job was not an explanation either. It was presence. So whatever is unexplained in your life right now, you do not have to solve it to sleep. He is not waiting at the end of your figuring out. He is here now, sitting in the ashes beside you. The second stone is the bedrock. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Job said it at the bottom, which is how you know it's bedrock and not decoration. There may be 100 things you don't know tonight. Why this year went the way it did. How next month will go. What to do about the thing you can't stop turning over. Let all 100 of them rest unanswered. And put your whole weight on the one thing you do know. He lives. He knows the way that you take. And your eyes, your own eyes, will see him. A person can sleep on bedrock. People have been doing it since Uz. And the third stone is the whirlwind's strange comfort. When God wanted to heal a broken heart, he showed it the morning stars, the swaddled sea, the treasuries of snow, rain falling faithfully on land no one will ever see. Why would that help? I think because it is such relief to be small. To lay down the exhausting job of being the center that holds everything. And remember, you are one more tended creature in a universe that is being run beautifully by someone else. The ravens will be fed tonight without your help. The dawn will find its place without your supervision. The proud waves will stop at their line. You can clock out. The one who binds the sweet influences of Pleiades has the night shift. And he has never once missed a morning. Presence, not explanations. Bedrock under everything. And the sweet relief of a tended universe. The Lord gave. The Lord is taken away. And the name, tonight and always, is blessed. Stay on the hillside with me. Just a little longer. The wind is slower now. Long, unhurried breaths moving through the grass, arriving from far away, passing over you. Going on. Down the hill, the flocks are deep asleep in their folds. Hundreds of soft breaths rising and falling together. Every lamb accounted for. Every gate closed kindly for the night, and above you, the whole slow treasury of the sky. The Pleiades in their sweet cluster, Orion wheeling up the east, the river of stars in flood, bank to bank across the dark, all of it turning gently on time, without any help from you. Somewhere far off, rain is falling tonight on ground no one will ever see, keeping its faithful appointment with the empty places, satisfying the desolate ground, just because he said it would. Somewhere the sea is asleep in its swaddling band of cloud, rocking against the line it was given hitherto, and no further. Somewhere the snow is being kept in its treasuries, saved up like something precious. And here, in the grass, one more tended creature is being watched over with the same faithfulness. You. Your breathing has slowed. In and out. Like wind through grass, like waves against their gentle boundary. Slower and slower. He knoweth the way that you take. The morning stars sang once over all of this, and the song is still holding. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and you can sleep on that. Full of days, every one of them counted, every one of them kept. I hope this story brings you the same peace it brings me. Sleep well. We'll meet again next week.